Hi everybody, and welcome back to the Little Western Model Railway YouTube channel. I'm James, and today we're taking a look at the Oaken and Brickworks layout that I have been building on and off for the last year and a half. More specifically, we're taking a look at the last siding in the Inglewood shunting puzzle that I've incorporated into this section of the layout itself. We're going to go over to the computer, print out the template, cut out the template, get on the workbench, build it, time-lapse it, stick it on the bench, work itself, drill the hole, do the wiring, and do a little bit of testing, and then we'll watch Leo go up and down on the branch line for a few runs. Other than that, we're getting very, very close to doing some shunting. I've got a lot of motivation now after the last few months. I've been very, very dismotivated, but we're back on track. Track work is happening, videos are happening, trains are running. Let's roll the intro.
What's going on, guys? Apologies for the locomotive in the back. No apologies for the locomotive in the back. It's nice to have some background noise and to have something running. So here we have the layout in its entirety, and we've already done this back section here, and we're currently working on this section here. That's why I have the box around it, so I know which bit I'm doing. Now, originally this track here came parallel with these two, and it meant that I had 3 tracks, classic Inglenook, nothing major, nothing fancy, and I decided that that was a little bit too muddled. So what I did was I have decided that it's going to curve off to a point at about 10 centimeters away from the corner of the layout and look like it's going to go to the rest of the yard, which there would have been in this area here. There would have been a quarry, things like that. So not prototypical, but it's a slightly sharper curve where an industrial loco would be able to go back and forth, or even a shunting horse. So that's the plan. It means that I can have this all as a hard standing, right up to the corner, and I can use this as a place to put some figures, to put, you know, a crane, a car, something like that. It means that I can do some other modelling bits and make it look cool. And then, of course, between here we will have 1 or 2 warehouses. You know, so it looks like, and then maybe an old brick kiln, like one of the first ones, you know, one of the ones that would have been used beforehand, but that's completely separate. So we're focusing on this today. So I'm going to print this off, go into a quick time lapse of putting it all together, and then we'll get the template that we are going to be working on today onto the workbench, and we'll go through building that. So let's get on with it. So here we are, we have everything printed off, and all you need to do is on one edge, only one edge and one top edge, or one edge or top edge or bottom edge, is you need to cut along the red printed line, align that with, so which is what I've done on this case, align that with the opposite side that you haven't done to make sure that you cut it. Get yourself some double-sided sticky tape, or whichever you would prefer. I always prefer double-sided sticky tape. Run your sticky tape down that uncut side, and then gently line up the rail heads so that the line is just butted up to it, and put it together. And then you have your template. So we are building this entire section here today. So let's get on with it. Over to the workbench. So here we are down on the desk. Now I'm going to try my best not to knock the camera. Apologies if I do. So we have our template built to fit together. We have a few things that we need to make sure that we have. First things first, we have to have our track. This is older CNL fine scale code 75 bullhead rail. This is a test piece that I've already used, and it already has some of the dropper wires already set up, but I will remove those and replace them anyway because they are the wrong way around. But it's enough length to do this section of track work, which is fine for me. Next we need some sleepers. Now I have a short that I did a while ago, which I detailed how I painted these. I'm not going to paint them for this. Very simple. I followed Boomer Dioramas, one of Boomer Dioramas videos, and I have enough here to do this section, which is great. And if I run out, then, well, I've got plenty more. Next thing we need is the running chairs themselves. So these are from C&L fine scale. These ones, the darker brown ones, are C&L fine scale. The sprue comes with 10 normal running chairs, 2 S1J chairs, and 2 L1 chairs. That will make sense in the next video, but S1 chairs are running chairs, S1J chairs are joint chairs for in-between track sections, and I have a load here that are already loose, a mixture of the C&L ones, which are the dark brown, and the EM Gauge Society ones, which are the lighter brown. And then for the track joints, of which we have 2 sections of track here, I have the S1J chairs, they go at the end. Pretty self-explanatory. We're going to need some track cutters so we can shorten the length as to how we need it. We need some track gauges. So here I have a set of 2 roller gauges and 2 triangular gauges, DCC Concepts and C&L Fine Scale. These are C&L Fine Scale. I need to get a lot more of these, a lot more of these, so I'll be picking up a few of those soon. And then we need the adhesive. Now, a lot of people have different opinions on this, so I have a bottle of liquid poly or methyl ethyl ketone. I managed to source this locally after I butchered this and dropped an entire bottle, so I had to get this refilled. I found a local supplier, and we have a paintbrush for it. Now, I recommend if you're doing something like this, have a large glass that you can keep it in, because if you knock it over, you're going to spend literal months not being able to find what you need. We've got some tissue paper just in case we need to clean our paintbrush or any surfaces, and we got some cotton buds just in case. So what we're going to do is I am going to do this as a partial time lapse. So the first things first, we want to take our double-sided tape and we want to run that in the right direction down the center of our template. Now bear in mind, a lot of other people have different ways of doing this, and then very simply we're going to go along and put all of our timbers in, trying to line up with the lines, the edge of the lines on either side of the timber itself. So I'm going to speed through this. I'll speak to you in a second. Now it's important when you get here, and let me just swivel the camera very slightly. When we get here, you can see that these here interlace with these here, so we just need to be extra careful that we are making sure that we leave enough room for these ones on the opposite side so we can slot them in nice and proper. So there we are, all of those laid in place. Now don't worry if you've got a little bit of side to side movement, that's not an issue, because Eventually we want to be able to remove the paper from underneath it so we can place it. We're just using this as a template to make sure we get the curve right. Now what we need to do is a little bit of a fiddly bit. We need to count the number of chairs that we need and get those prepared. So let's go from here. So that's 42 S1 chairs. So there are 42 sleepers in total. Oh, yes, sleepers in total. So that means that we need at least twice as many chairs. So that's 84 chairs in total. Now, knowing full well that we have a joint here and a joint here, I know that I need to have those as S1J chairs. So that's 4 for this joint and 2 for this joint. So that's 6. Showing my terrible math skills here. So that's 78. So we need 78 chairs, S1 chairs, and 6 S1J chairs. So give me a minute. It might be handy to have some tweezers at this point. So these are the S1 chairs. They are slightly wider, let's say, than the S1 chairs. Not really noticeable, but if the devil is in the details, then you might as well stick to the details. And now what I do is to make sure that I have the right amount. I want to make sure that my joint chairs, and thus the keys for the joint chairs, are pointing the right direction. Now the keys should point the opposite direction of the joint. Now I'm not going to be able to show you the key because unfortunately these are tiny as heck. So I'm not even going to bother trying, but I just want to make sure that I have everything the right way. Not going to show you this. I'm going to skip forward until I've got all of the chairs ready to put on the rails. So here I am just threading on the 3D printed chairs, making sure that the key is on the outside of the rail and not on the inside so it doesn't affect the flanges. In this case, I'm not focusing on which direction the keys are facing, only on the panel joints themselves, where the S1J chairs will point the keys in opposite directions. As this will be covered in a hard standing, or at least a lot of gravel like a yard, most of the keys will not be visible anyway, if at all. So I'm not really fussed as to the direction that the keys are facing, but you have to make sure that they're on the outside, otherwise it will affect the running. So we're going to get all these threaded and then get ready to put them on the sleepers. So, apologies for my face being in the way here. So what I'm doing is I'm using tweezers to align the chair over the center of the diagram where the rail will be and over the sleeper itself. And then I'm using a old paintbrush to dip it in the methyl ethyl ketone or butanone that acts as a chemical solvent to dissolve the base of the plastic onto the wood itself and provides a very strong bond. Now this first step is all by eye, but then I'm using a tri-gauge from DCC Concepts just to hold it in place to give some pressure. Then you work your way down the entire length of one side of the rail. I usually do the back side first, and then I work myself forward. So we'll get on with that, speed it up a little bit, and I'm sorry that my head is in the way, it's unfocusing. I probably should have done this a little bit better, but you get the idea. So there is the back rail done, the tri-gauges, and then my finger on the end to hold it in place, just to give those last chairs a chance to chemically dissolve and solidify. And then we'll work our way forward and do the front rail itself. To do that, we use the gauges to make sure that we keep that correct width between the inside of the rails. And then it's simple as that, and then we can give it a quick roll test. So let's get on. And of course, the last thing that we need to do is perform a little roll test. So just a quick back and forth with a wagon of your choice that has been gauged correctly, and just make sure that it's not rocking, rolling, bumping, and so on. And this is pretty smooth.
So now that we have the template built, if we stick it in rough place, we can see that actually the template needs to be a little bit further back to about there, which is fine. That's actually exactly perfect. So we need to cut away the two rail sections here, cut out the rest of the template, solder the dropper wires on, and away we go. So now we're on the layout itself. You can see that it's curving off to the edge on this far side And later on, when it's in place and glued down and everything, I'll come along with the Dremel and I'll neaten up that edge, and then we'll have a fascia on it anyway. But for now, what we're going to do is everything is in place, give or take a few millimeters. I've already got an X laid in, so we're going to take this away. Going to get our drill. Only a small drill bit, honestly, don't need anything more than that. And we're just going to drill through. So it does give it a little bit of a puncture hole, but that's fine. It'll be filled in with grout and putty anyway. And then what we can do is we can take our cables, our wires. In fact, now I use very small drill bits. I use small drill bits. I think this is a 6mm. In fact, yes, it is a 6mm drill bit for my wires, because I don't want, you know, ballast and things falling through. I just don't see the point. 10mm for other things, sure, but... And there we have it. That's in place. So let's get underneath and plug this thing in. So here we have it, just a quick test on the layout itself. Run the pannier and the James gin back and forth. And as you can see, it's running quite smoothly. I'm quite happy with how this has come out. Now it's just a case of lining everything up, getting it ready to pin down. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't it just great? So happy to have something running on the layout. I could watch this go back and forth all day. So yep, there we are. So, excuse me. So off camera, I will go about sorting out the turnouts and getting the rest of the Inglenook shunting puzzle wired up. And I'll leave you with one or two shots of the Earl running back and forth, and then we'll hit the outro. So there we have it, how I handlay track using 3D printed and ready to run track components. It runs really nicely, runs really smoothly, just like the other ones that I've done, which is a miracle in itself. Next stage we'll be getting the two turnouts of the ingle siding done, and then sorting out a video on how I make those turnouts. That's going to be a lengthy one, and might even be a two-parter. Keep your eyes out for it. And then it's getting the rest of the track work done, and then finally moving on to scenics and actually running the layout and enjoying the layout as well. So I'm really looking forward to getting that sorted. Today's video shout out goes to Dinmore Junction. I'll leave a link to their channel in the description below. Been really enjoying what they do looking at locos, some of the running sessions as well, and it's just a nice thing to have on, you know, either to focus on or put in the background and just enjoy, quite honestly. So go and give them a shout as well. And for my channel, if you like the video, please like it. If you didn't like it, please let me know in the comments why you didn't like it. I've had a few dislikes over the last few videos, and I'd really like to know how I can improve. And if you want to stick around for the rest of my content, please subscribe. With some luck, we'll have some more videos out very, very soon. But in the meantime, there will be a playlist up here, another video down there that YouTube thinks you like, and I just want to say thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.